Hello and welcome to another edition of SuperCoach Edge. With week one of SuperCoach finals in the book, we're well and truly on the home straight now, and the whips are most certainly cracking as we head towards the finish. I'm fresh out of trades, and with it, any SuperCoach burden and responsibility. And speaking of which, probably appropriate, I figure it's a great segue to welcome you in, Liam, as that's something you've been accustomed to for the past few weeks now.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice not having to worry about what trades you're going to make. But yeah, it's equally like you just look at players, you're like, I wish I'd traded them in. I wish I could bring in Rowan Marshall or, Merritt or Redman. Yes, Redman.
Yeah. He was your nice little pod from a few weeks ago. I think it was off the back of one of the good games that was sort of a bit of an insight into his scoring potential, and you threw his name out there, and I thought, I don't know, maybe, but he's just goes to show you haven't lost it, Liam. You haven't lost it. So
no.
You've still got that nous of scouting talent. So use that for next year.
Hopefully, he's definitely one that's on my list for next year. Give you a little sneaky thing there, but I guess Damon. I mean, I'm not in many SuperCoach finals at all with the way my scoring's been. But how'd you pull up? I mean, I'm assuming you're in a few for week one.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a couple of what we call them, consolation cups or participation plates, which you're in for our SuperCoach Cash League. At least you're a chance of some sort of trophy. Or it's like I'm thinking it's one of those plastic plates more so than like a silver plate that you get from Wimbledon or whatever. But yeah, of the 5 cash leagues that I qualified for finals, I progressed through to 2 prelims and 2 semi-finals. Whilst, funnily enough, in Bryce Mitchell's Legends League, who obviously most of us would be familiar with on Twitter for his great price projections work, it was a very close shave, and I won by just 1 point. Mind you, I'm not really across this league as much because there's not really anything at stake apart from pride. But yeah, you've got the likes of M. Chalice and a few others in there as well from the SuperCoach community. So good fun to get the win anyway. And I don't have no idea who I'm playing this coming week. May even have the week off, who knows? But I'll pay close attention, probably more so when I start losing spots from my cash leagues, if that happens. But fingers crossed it doesn't.
Yeah, but speaking of close shaves, Damon, we must make mention of some exciting news here at SuperCoach Edge, as we welcome aboard new supporters of our humble little production in the form of Manscaped.
Yes. Well, Manscaped are the best in men's below-the-waist groom. Probably should use this as a bit of a microphone, shouldn't we? Yeah. Not that you should be using it as a microphone, but we'll use it as a prop microphone. So Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, poet, and didn't know it, Manscaped. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. So join over 5 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, the good folk of SuperCoach Edge. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code EDGE at manscaped.com. Now, the good folks at Manscaped lobbed us some of their products, which you'll see one of these here, in the form of a tidy little performance package, as they call it, containing the Lawnmower 4.0, which is what I've got here in my hand, the Weed Whacker ear and nose trimmer, for those of you who are super hairy, which I fall sort of maybe in that category. You also have the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, funnily enough, but haven't used it yet, but I'll get back to you on how that goes. And also the what's called the Crop Reviver toner. But with that, we also got performance boxer briefs and what's called a shed travel bag, which I've actually been in need of another little travel bag when I'm abroad. Like on the weekend just gone, I was in San Remo doing some work with the AFLW team for the Hawks, and I was actually looking for my old plastic version of this, which I've had for years on end. So you've come at a great time, Manscaped. So thank you so much for looking after us.
Yes, and their 4th generation lawnmower trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, which we all want to avoid, thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 4000K LED spotlight just in case you need a more precise shave. Because this trimmer is waterproof, you can also say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor, which is another very handy little, just upside. Don't have to clean up, which is always good.
Exactly right. You don't have to strategically, balance yourself on the edge of a bloody table or whatnot. But if you're watching us on YouTube, and if you're not, I recommend that you tune in because you'll be able to see it in hand, and you'll hear the little buzz here. And it is because I've turned on the Lawnmower 4.0, and you'll see the little light there. Awesome. So I actually turned the lights off to test out this little bad boy, and must say that it works an absolute treat. And even more pleasingly for myself, I can finally ditch the miner's helmet with a little torch on top in my dimly lit bathroom, because that was interesting times. And having to explain that to the other half when she walks in, and you've got a miner's helmet on. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just nothing. So yes, it is absolutely brilliant, and the fact that it's waterproof makes it even easier. So very, very nice product. Now the Weed Whacker ear and nose trimmer is also a waterproof product and provides proprietary skin-safe technology, they call it. Hard to say, but does the job, which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs. So thankfully, I guess I'm yet to be of the age where the hair is coming out of my ears. But if my eyebrows are anything to go by, the old nose weeds will be coming thick and fast. So super handy for those odd stray ones, that's for sure.
Yes, and also in the pack is the Crop Preserver, which is below the waist deodorant, and the Crop Reviver, which is also below the waist toner that will change the way you approach your daily hygiene routine.
Yes, gone are the days of waking up and smelling like an absolute foot, or like the underside of G-Train's jock strap. We all know G-Train. Absolute ripper of a player back in the day, but apologies, G-Train. Please don't bash us or track me down, because I did love you, even though you were a St Kilda player. But a nice little bonus is the performance package.
Yes.
In the fact that it comes in the form of two free gifts, the Manscaped boxes and the Shed travel bag, which you'll see right there. And I must say, the boxes pleasantly surprised me. No more riding up the leg or loose ball gets in the form of having to blatantly, I guess, rearrange your lads when out in public. And full honesty, that's not just me reading lines off a script. That's absolutely genuine. Because the one thing I hate is wearing briefs that ride up your legs. I've got obviously briefs that go down, sort of halfway down your thighs. And when they start to get on in age a bit, they start to ride up and they absolutely shit me and become genuine jocks. And unless you're sort of used to it, which I wasn't, you're always having to pull them down your legs. So absolutely brilliant. And I need to get my hands on some more. So love the fabric, super soft. So check them out. So meanwhile, the Shed travel bag is, as we said, the nifty travel sack to take all of these devices and more with you wherever the wind takes you.
Very nice pun there with the use of sack as well.
They should work it into the marketing. That actually wasn't in any of the brief that they sent. So Manscaped, if you want to pay us any extra for that, not that we're getting paid at the moment. Very clean. Clean cut. Yeah.
Clean cut. Anyway, as part of our partnership, you, the good folk of the SuperCoach Edge community, can get access to 20% off and free shipping with the code EDGE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping when you enter the code EDGE at manscaped.com. And that's free worldwide shipping. So I don't know if you're listening to us from Russia.
We can see the analytics. There actually is someone from Russia.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't mention that.
Although having said that, on YouTube, because we're using blocked. My money don't jiggle, it folds. It actually we're now blocked from our vodcast being shown on YouTube to audiences in Russia. So if you haven't seen our episode up, or they're probably not able to watch this episode at the moment, so they won't hear this. So we're preaching to no one. But unfortunately. But Russia, England,
anywhere,
all that.
Anywhere you want, free shipping. So unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Very, very nice. Well, let's down tools by kicking it off with our first segment, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, in the good, the bad, and the ugly, we go through a quick recap of our respective weeks and the players that stood out for both good and not so good reasons. And it probably doesn't come as a shock that I am kicking off this week, like every week, I feel. But anyway, my score for the week, I did have a bit of a shocker with a score of just 2,196. And I'll touch on why that happened a little bit later. My overall ranking, I actually dropped down to 19,083. So yeah, nice little drop there, which is not good, with no trades and having to cover for injuries across the field. Basically, I think the queue is in the rack, unfortunately, for this season, with me not really being able to do too much as a result. But yeah, I'm eagerly making the only changes that I can, which are pretty much captaincy loopholes. But keep on doing it. So as I mentioned, trades, there were none made this week because I have 0 trades, as we all know. Now onto the good. The good this week came from Rory Laird. Great VC option. Very happy with him. 144. Welcome score in my dwindling side. So, you got to take that when you get it. In the bad, I've got Jack McRae. He just hasn't been seen, just doesn't seem to be hitting those heights that we're used to. And a score of 82, just again, simply, and I say it week in, week out, isn't good enough. And I'm going to put him on notice. He's in a big risk of not getting a call up for my side next season.
He's very much not the primo he's been. He's fallen away massively. So yeah, I'm pretty certain he's probably not going to be there next year, unfortunately. Now onto the ugly, and with a score of 2,196, there could be a number of players that fit into this category, but I'm going to give it to myself. Because I was actually just looking at my team and I realized that I knew that Cogs was a laid out, but I caused myself a little bit of mischief. Essentially essentially copying a 0 despite actually having cover for him, because I stuffed up the captaincy loophole and forgot that I need to have 2 emergencies on the forward line, not just the one. So I am the ugly this week. Well, that actually rings a bell. I think Emper in our SuperCoach Edge Cash League did something similar, but I think I don't know if it was him. Did he stuff up and put the VC on someone that he didn't intend to? Or the C? There was something that happened in the Cash League.
Off memory, he had the C and the VC on the same player. Not on the same player, but in the same game.
Oh, yes, yep.
So he just missed out on the basis that you basically couldn't do anything with it because there was the 2 players in the same game.
Yep. No, we've all been there. And I had my own sort of, even though I'm in some finals, I was over at a mate's place on the Sunday and I had the chance of screening Cully's score off the bench, and I'll get into my team shortly in a moment, but it just reminded me that I was able to screen Cully's score off the bench, and then if he scored shit, put Hobbs on field. And I thought, I'll back in Cully. Just was an absolute smartass and thought, he's punched out some nice scores, had a really nice scoring base or floor over the past 2 weeks, backed him in, and it wasn't to be. So I missed out on I think it was about 28 points or something in the end, so it wasn't too bad. But it was a bit of a wake-up call for myself not to be so complacent, because I thought it was going to actually jeopardize a few of my league head-to-head matchups. So thankfully it didn't. But moving on to, the overall intricacies of my weekend that was. My score was 2,438 and overall ranking ended up rising. Thank God I rested the slide that I was having over the past couple of weeks and rose 439 spots to now sit 3,738. Which is my highest rank for the season, actually. But
nice.
I must concede now that unfortunately the aim that I was sort of putting out there to make the top 1K is now out of reach, unfortunately, because ideally I would have probably been on the cusp of that at the moment, but those 2 previous weeks where I've slid have kind of, sort of burst that bubble. But all be will be. But I must make mention of some weird numerology going on with the figure of 100 of late. So I slid 100 spots last week, and now I scored 100 points more than last week's score. So hopefully that means next week, it means that my entire team
Scores
100 plus across the board.
Hopefully.
Is the universe trying to sell me something? Hopefully.
Hopefully. I'm praying to the SuperCoach gods.
Or it may alternatively mean that one player scores 100 in my team and it bombs. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully that the SuperCoach guys have forgotten that episode a few weeks ago where I gave him the finger. Remember that?
Yeah. I do remember that.
So I've just reminded them like an idiot. Anyway, so on with the trades. I ended up pulling the trigger on my last 2 trades for the season and ended up getting rid of Baldwin, who was my season long. I actually forgot that I had him in my team and ended up trading him to Jai Cully and traded Hewitt to Stewart. Poet didn't know it and had to do it. Fit so well just with that rhyme right there. And yes, absolutely liberating to be out of trades now. And I actually felt like, the famous scene in Seinfeld where Kramer slides into Jerry's apartment in the episode titled The Contest. He slams his money down on the table and screams, "I'm out." So that was me with Kramer. I've sort of cut my long locks that I've had over the past few weeks. I could have been channeling Kramer there with the wavy hair as he slams down on the table. But yeah, I'm out of responsibility and everything else. So it's all in the hands of the SuperCoach gods now and luck. So on with the good. The obvious one is Marshall, who put in a career best game on the weekend for a whopping 173. But to highlight another good performer who turned their form around, it would have to go to Dunkley. And I spoke of Dunkley in the bad category for myself last week, but as I noted then, I was backing him in to turn around his form, given he had scored a ton in 12 of his previous 15 games prior to that 3-week rough trot. And he repaid the faith with a nice little 130, which is nice to see. In the bad, you could probably guess who it's going to be. It's either one guy or another guy, and both of these guys come up in the bad and ugly. So I had to flip a coin, and I've gone with Short here, and he's drawn the short straw, you could say. So how do I describe him? Annoying, frustrating, all the above. So would have been out of my side had Hewitt not been ruled out for a second consecutive week and saved his ass. So now I'm stuck with him for the rest of the season, and must say, unless he turns it around, we'll have his paper stamped for 2023 and we'll be out of my side.
Ooh.
So absolutely time to atone. He's now playing for a future spot in my side. So it's not looking too rosy at the moment. On to the ugly, and you can probably guess who it is. It is that man, Jack Crisp, who has now all but overtaken Short on my blacklist. He scored a season low 60, and he's brought his run of scores under 100 to 6 consecutive weeks now. And he's again someone who is writing himself into my burn book for 2023 if he doesn't get his shit into gear. But I was thinking it's really strange because the Pies have won, like 10 on the trot now or something weird. And he scored shit in 6 of those. Like it doesn't really make sense. You'd think like it would line up like with their good form. So maybe I'm thinking that the Pies need to start losing in order for him to play well, given that, his performance isn't aligning with the team's winning form.
Yeah.
So Collingwood and Craig McRae, just going to make a bit of a plea. Just can you sacrifice just one win? Turn it into a loss. Like you've been so lucky. I don't know how many of those wins they've had under 7 points, but I think it's at least 5+. So please sacrifice at least a win for the greater good, for the greater SuperCoach good.
Yeah.
Of Chris turning around his scores, because there's so many of us in SuperCoach land that have him, and the finals will be hinging upon his performance because we don't have the luxury of trades anymore. A lot of us are out of trades, and we just need him to turn around his form. And he's the one blight on our he's the ink blot on our team sheets. So we'll see what happens. But it'd be funny though if they lose and he pulls in a blinder. You'll know what the secret tonic is.
We'll know that Craig McRae was listening.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that too. But let's move on and have a look at our, not that it's as relevant as it was, of weeks gone by, but our usual head-to-head. Just roll through it because not that we're really paying attention now, but we'll do it up until the end of the season. And we have myself with 14 wins, 6 losses, and a point differential of plus 1,087 points. And yourself, Liam, you're on 6 wins, 14 losses, and that's same differential, obviously. So is what it is. And I think, as you said there, the fact that you forgot to put another E on a bench player and you've copped a self-inflicted donut just shows the state of where our head-to-head's at. So not that we're paying any attention to it. It is what it is. I claimed victory a few weeks ago. So, yeah, we'll see.
What do I have to score now to get
Very good. Very good. See, that's looking on the bright side, Liam. I like that. And I'm going to get my calculator out. I'm going to do the sums right now.
How many weeks are left? There's like 3 weeks, I think.
Yep, 3 weeks. So what is it? 1,087 points. This is going to be real. I think last week was about 200 points or something.
Yeah.
This week, it's 362.333 repeating, of course. Points you need to make up on me. So
all right, I'm going to do that in 1 week.
You get 1 week. Well, look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For example, like I had a point differential. I gained 242 points on you. So if I have a week like you had on the weekend and you have a week that I had, you've nearly made up that differential in 1 week of what you need.
But I need to do that 3 times.
You've got to do that 3 times.
And more than what you did.
Yeah. So you're going to have to really, really work on your VC loopholes and trust that I'm not going to go with the same person. Anyway,
I think we can call it, but I'm going to see what I can do. I'll see what I can
pull
do.
Some strings.
Yep. Anyway, let's move on to the talking points that came out of the weekend and some that have just come out, actually, in the week that was.
Oh, I've got a bit of a tickle up my nose and might need to use this little weed whacker actually, because there's something that's tickling the shit out of my nose, and I think it's a stray weed. So I'll have to use this bad boy later on. But in the week that was, we keep you up to date on the key talking points of the round.
Yes, and first up, Hewitt, Georgie boy, was again ruled out for a second consecutive week due to his back injury. While the Supercoach gods didn't spare us any chaos in round, with Cogs also being laid out with McVeigh and co deciding at last minute that he needed a rest. And just on Georgie boy Hewitt, Carlton has also just confirmed bad news for all of those people that have held George Hewitt, or like myself, who have no trades and have just been forced to hold him. He has been ruled out for yet another week with his back ailment. So if you have qualified for the prelim in your leagues and have a week off, you could probably afford to wait. Otherwise, it may be time to pull the trigger on him. And I think just on that quickly, we're getting to the stage of the season where a week, normally you would say a week's injury or a week's suspension you hold. At this stage, you've got to start thinking about it differently because there's only 3 weeks left. So that's a third of the season left, essentially. So 1 week injuries or 1 week suspensions are definitely a stage now. If you have trades, you can consider moving them along.
Very much so. Very, very much so. And I must say that it was super kind of the Giants and McVeigh to give us ample warning that Cogs was going to be rested. So classic GWS, and it actually seems that the ghost of Leon Cameron has possessed McVeigh. That's the only explanation. And
also just throwing players out of position again. Moved what's his face forward. Himmelberg forward. He moved Brown, who kicked 4 goals a couple of weeks back in the wet, back, and moved just players all over the field, and then just it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, even more so, like the fact that Himmelberg was thrown forward makes even less sense because they're a big quality man down in defence, with Phil Davis being ruled out for the season. And then they also had Lockie Keefe as their medi sub, who's like another high quality defender for them. So like they're virtually 2 tall quality defenders down, and he throws Himmelberg forward. But what do we know? We're not coaches. We don't have the idiotic mindset of a senior coach. It is what it is. But going along with that breaking news with Georgie boy Hewitt, Georgie boy. Sorry, I was kind of easing into that. That wasn't quite right. I got a frog in my throat. That wasn't it. That was the frog. But yes, in some breaking news as we record, News has emerged that Brodie Grundy will not make his return to the senior side this weekend after suffering an ankle injury at training and has required scans. So there isn't really any update as to the seriousness of it yet, but there is word that the Pies are playing down the overall seriousness. And it was something about, I heard, it's not really that reliable. He's kind of as reliable as bloody Wikipedia, Tom Brown. He said that apparently it's an ankle impingement. Who knows what that means? So a locked up ankle? I have no idea. But the overall point that we're getting to is it helps those owners of Darcy Cameron.
Yep.
So he's at a state of, I guess, execution in a sense from people's sides, because first off, Grundy played through the VFL and now he's taking even longer to get to the senior side. So for those of you who own him in Cameron, he's going to continue, hopefully, busting out some half-decent scores.
Yes.
And meanwhile, for those of us that snapped up the bottom-priced rookie and Injai Cully, we were rewarded, and I say rewarded very loosely, with a deflating score of 26, and he also did his best impersonation of Bruce by not only getting injured, but also suspended, all in the one game. Oh, Jesus, what an idiot. What an idiot, honestly.
What was he thinking?
He was that far away. Like he wasn't tackling. He was like running past Noah Anderson and like just chicken winged out his elbow and like copped him flush in the head. Lucky he didn't go down with a concussion. He got straight back up. Otherwise it would have been way worse than 2 weeks that he's copped. But yeah, I don't know if they've confirmed as to what the severity of the hamstring injury is. You'd say at least a week, if not 2. So he's probably lucky anyway, would have been out. But may come back for the last game of the season if we need him. But yeah, he's pretty much wasted one of my last 2 trades. So damn you, Cully.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's the way the season goes, as I can attest to. On the scoring front, Paddy, the Helicopter Crips, repaid the faith with a whopping 146. And just quickly, I reckon Pitnet is the reason for that.
Yeah, we mentioned that last week.
Pitnet in and Hewitt out are the 2 things that are helping Cripps there. So just keep that in mind. Laird also busted out his, as usual, reliable 144 and took the running man Miller. Made light work of the Eagles with a lovely score of 153 as well. Yes,
gotta love the running man. And yeah, we did mention about the possible, I guess, uptick in scoring for the Helicryptor with the return of Pitnet, and he delivered the goods. So hopefully that is a bit of a snapshot of things to come for the next 3 rounds to round out the season. But Tom Stewart was another, I guess, hot property asset on the trade front and scored a nice 112 on return from suspension, whilst another trade target of recent weeks put in a career best 173 against the Hawks in Marshall. So, he repaid the faith for those of us. I gave him a bit of shtick in my first week in my side. He only scored 80-odd against West Coast against no ruckman, but he more than made up for it on the weekend. But with that, let's discuss the other potential trade-in candidates in our next segment, The Price is Right.
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it bowls. I'd like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. Make you want to dribble dribble, riding in my Fiat. You really have to see it. 6 feet 2.
Yes, and The Price is Right. We run through the top buy, sell, hold, and wait options for this round of SuperCoach. We'll chat about the pros, the cons, and who you should be considering trading in or out of your side this week, assuming that you do have some trades left. And in terms of the trades, options, there are a number of trades that, you can consider. But generally at this point of the season, given everyone's mostly completed their teams and there's a few injuries that we'll discuss, but we'll probably look more to those luxury trades or more those sideways trades for those injuries. However, obviously the ability to make those trades, those luxury trades especially, really comes down to how many trades you have left along with the cash in the bank. So as I said, the long-term injuries are probably less concerned. Well, if they're a long-term injury, you need to be trading them now. But if they are a short-term one, it is potentially time to trade as well. But it all comes down to how many trades you have left and how much cash you do have. But Damon, do you want to run through the main sell suspects?
Yep. Yep, no worries. So from the top, we have Jacob Weir. He has a calf injury, which could spell trouble for a number of coaches using him for cover for Hewitt, and namely our new friend of the show, Abdul. If you're listening, if you're watching us, we're sorry. Because he was hinging upon the return of Hewitt and in the short term anyway, with Jacob Weir, sort of being in that placeholder. So unfortunately, he is out. Other injuries include... Yes, obviously Hewitt. We don't know when he will return. He's obviously going to miss this weekend. Jai Cully will also miss those 2 weeks due to that crude elbow, leaving him with the 2-game suspension. And Jade Gresham also suffered a season-ending injury last week. So if you haven't already, it's time to move him on. But in terms of luxury trades, Short, Crisp, and Luke Jackson present as the most likely options. And yeah, with Short, his role in the back line just didn't eventuate like many of us hoped. I think he was thrown back into defence for at least a quarter, took a few actual kickouts as well for the Tigers on the weekend. But it's like Dimmer was just, dangling a carrot in front of us and he's like, here you go, look at this. And then just whipped it away, because then he was thrown up forward, along the wing, into the engine room, and just, he was kind of like the Liam Baker Swiss Army knife, just thrown everywhere and anywhere. Even the bench at one stage as well. So what an absolute arse you are, Dimmer. So, yeah, thanks, mate. But Crisp hasn't scored above 91 since the buys, which is really, really alarming as we've gone through. And Max Gawn is ruining any hope of majority ruck minutes for Luke Jackson, for those of you who picked him up when Gawn was out and Jacko took the number 1 mantle. But let's go on to the buys, Liam. Let's run through some of the, the best options. And these are luxury trades, as we just mentioned. So we'll list the top options we've identified across each position. And the first in the defence is...
Yeah, it's probably comes as no surprise. It is Tommy Stewart. He is defensive eligible, 579.6K with an average of 115.2 and a break even of 67. Now, he finds himself on this list again as he scored 112 in his return from suspension on the weekend. And he really is the choice defensive trade-in, I think, if you're looking for one, especially considering he has a soft fixture to finish the season against St Kilda, the Suns, and the Eagles, and 2 of those games to come at GMHBA Stadium, which he absolutely froths playing at. That's the only way to put it. But, I mean, I guess if you're looking for someone a bit different, maybe you already have Tom Stewart, but you still got George Hewitt. Oh, my God, that was really hard to say. You need to make a trade. Another option at a pretty similar price point is actually Mason Redman, who I will keep banging on about. He's hitting some nice form, dropping below 100 on just 2 occasions since round 10, one of which was a 99 and the other was a 49 after being subbed out at halftime with a pretty bad injury from the sounds of it as well. At the time, he was coughing up blood at halftime. So not good, but he bounced back with a 170 or whatever it was. So makes up for it, I guess.
Yeah. Is he turning into being like the most durable man? Because he had COVID. I think he came back from a week of COVID, and then he copped that internal bleeding.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. He's the bionic man almost. So like you said, Liam, I'll be keeping an eye on him as well, because he could be the equivalent of that man, Sicily. Intercept defender, good disposer of the footy. Yeah, he's been very unheralded, probably because of Ridley, you'd imagine. Is that the reason why, you reckon?
Yeah, I think he's come into it this season a lot better than what he has in the past. Just a really good user of the football. He's aggressive, but he's also a good user of the football, so it's not like it doesn't hurt him as much, which is actually, I think he went at 97% by foot on the weekend.
Wow.
And was actually at 100% until late in the game, where he tried to go a little bit too cute with a sort of a snap kick pass that just didn't eventuate. But I mean, yeah, still pretty good. So yeah, that's just, I guess, one thing to consider there. But to be honest, North Melbourne paid absolutely no respect to him, and I guess they paid in that sense with that. But what about midfield, Damon?
Yes, let's move on to the midfield option that we've plucked, and it is Callum Mills. We've spoken about him a few times, but for good reason. He is priced at 578.9k, averaging a 117.9 with a break-even of 122. And there's a few options you could look at here, including Andy Brayshaw, who came through with the goods for myself in week one of the finals, and Petrarca, who I guess both of those guys offer similar price points, but Mills stands out based on his upcoming fixture. So get this, he faces North Melbourne, Collingwood and St Kilda to finish the season. So he's lifted his floor with a low score of 85 since round 9, dropping below 100 just 3 times. So it's that consistency, which is ever so crucial as well in head-to-head matchups. So if you are gunning for a cash league and to take out the premiership there, I'd definitely be looking no further than Callum Mills. And yes, like whilst there's other good options who you probably should consider as well ahead of him, Merritt, Steele, etc., his price is probably what makes him a juicy prospect. So Merritt, I think as well, he's even though he's performing really, really well, like massively ahead of what expectations were, especially going back a month or two ago. But those guys are on the price point now where their prices are inflated because he's been scoring so well in consecutive weeks, rolling over with a 5-round average and 3-round average. And it just inflates the price more than probably what it should and what his average in sort of the longer term should indicate. So, yeah, Callum Mills to me and to both of us, I guess, presents as a juicy prospect.
Yeah. And so just having a quick look at, I guess, the upcoming fixture, Collingwood give away the most points to inside mids, and North give away the fourth most to inside mids. So St Kilda don't really rate there, but 2 of those options do give away quite a lot of points to inside mids. So could be in for some big scores upcoming. I think against North Melbourne earlier in the year, he scored 130 as well. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But moving on to the ruck, and again, we've got Maxi Gawn here, ruck eligible, 536.7k, so cheaper than last week, despite scoring in the hundreds. Average of 113 with a break-even of 53, and Gawn cracked the ton in consecutive weeks for the first time since round 11 and 12, which was before he was injured at the next round and obviously missed a number of weeks since. He's looking in some ripping form now and faces Collingwood, Carlton and Brizzy to finish the season. So Collingwood, you'd expect with Darcy Cameron, he should, again, Collingwood give away, not too many actually, not too many points. They thought they were up there, but I think they might have come in recently, brought that back a bit. But still not facing, I guess, not the likes of a Brodie Grundy, which he has in the past. He has a pretty good average against the Pies. But if you do have the luxury trade up your sleeve, I actually don't mind trading out someone for him because he becomes a bit of a pod. You'd expect most of the teams that do have him would be ghost shippers, considering he was injured pretty late, I guess, in this, not late, but sort of at an awkward stage of the season where a lot of people who aren't playing, like might have given up, had moved him, wouldn't have moved him on. Yep. So I think his ownership is inflated by that. So yeah, I think definitely one that could be an interesting one to bring in, especially if you've got Witts, who hasn't been in the greatest form. No. So a trade to Gawn could actually sort of net you some more points and just create that bit of a pod as well.
Yeah, even Sean Darcy as well has really performed under expectations. It's like the only sort of lower tier of primos are just gone to shit. So yeah, it's both of those guys. Like Witts is 492.3k, and Darcy's 528.1. So yeah, you could virtually, with Darcy for example, spend an extra 8k, and you've got Maxi Gawn. So yeah, it's much of a muchness, but Gawny, I actually quite like it in that pod aspect side of things for sure. But moving on to another guy who is a ruck forward in this case, and spoke of him earlier, and it is Rowan Marshall. He's priced at 480.9k, averaging a 92.2 with a break-even of 21. And this weekend shows exactly what he's capable of as the first choice ruck at St Kilda, and probably a bit of a snapshot of potentially things to come for 2023 if Ryder, even though he wants to continue playing on, if St Kilda actually, put him out to pasture, because what they've seen so far of Rowan Marshall in the number one mantle, It could be a really nice player to start in the ruck or up forward, calm at 2023. But his DPP status is extra handy at this stage of the year, especially, particularly if you've got Teakle as your R3. So, just to have that cover, and especially if you're in sort of my shoes, our shoes, when you're out of trades, you kind of need to rely upon the DPP coverage more so than any other time of the year. So it does help in that aspect there. But beware, because his score on the weekend came against Hawthorn, who give away the third most points to rucks, and there is the risk of Campbell also waiting in the wings. He was named, but he was a late withdrawal. The sneaky rat, Brett Ratton, actually pulled Campbell and allowed good old Rowan to just have an absolute field day against the Hawks. So have a look at that. And just on Rowan Marshall's, ruck contest percentage, he actually had the most for a long while, since round 1. He had 80% of ruck contests on the weekend, and it was his second most for the season. Third most. Because I just missed there. In round 15, he had 85%. Round 1, he had 86%. So, it just goes to show when he has ample opportunity in the ruck, he produces those sort of scores. But even more pleasingly, at an ownership of just 7.9%, he is still considered a nice pot option with a very good ceiling, obviously. So we've gone through already over the previous weeks as to what he averages without rider. I think it's about 120 odd or thereabouts. So what more can we say? At that price point as well, he is still very, very juicy. So if you're in need of a forward, probably more so than rucks at this stage of the year, but get him in as a forward. And if you have Teakle as your R3, like we said, you can use him as that DPP cover if you need to use it over the last 3 weeks of the season. So awesome. Get on him.
The DPP status is amazing. His price is even better. If you've got I would be bringing him in 100%. I think there's just, I don't see much downside to him, to be perfectly honest. Now moving on to the pot option, and this is just a player that low ownership, high risk potentially, but also high reward. That's in some relatively decent form. And we look at that player, and it is Caden Coleman, Kitty Coleman from Brisbane, defence forward eligible, 498.3K, averaging 88.1 with a break-even of 68. And again, we offer up this as a bit of a pot option for those looking to take a risk. He presents as a very nice option, sitting in just 2.9% of teams as of round 20. And obviously that very handy DPP status with a defence forward swing. He has a 3-round average of 114, with scores of 118, 119, and 105 in his last 3. He's a bit of a risk. But he could also be quite handy with that DPP status because, lacking trades just means that if there is an injury, he can swing around. And he obviously faces Carlton, St Kilda, and Melbourne to finish the season. And Melbourne give away, depends how you want to classify him. I guess he's sort of that halfback. So Melbourne give away a lot of points to general defenders, but a little bit less to wing defenders.
Yeah, I think he's more of because he has taken kickouts as well without Rich there. So it depends as well. Like if Rich isn't back into this team for Brisbane, his scoring ceiling is elevated. Like we'll see scores like he produced on the weekend as well. But Melbourne, they're conceding the most points to defenders, designated kickers and running defenders for sure. Yeah, so definitely one to consider there. Obviously places them. Also faces St Kilda, who give away the 5th most. And then Carlton don't really factor in. They give away not much, but Brady Smith did do a bit of a number on them. Was it Brady Smith? Yeah. Yes. Yep. Exactly.
So potentially. Yeah. As a Don supporter, I understand. Anyway, let's move on to the bubble, David.
Yes, there's a couple of guys in the bubble. They're probably less and less relevant every single episode that we do this now because no one has any trades to bring these guys in, but we'll speak about them anyway. And the first is Elijah Hollins as a mid-forward priced at 123.9 with an average of 64.5 and a break-even of -56. And must be said, Stewie Dew has absolutely ruined his price as a rookie heading into 2023. So thanks, Stewie Dew. But at the very least, for those of you who have pretty much owned him all year, I think a lot of people used him as a bit of a loophole option with the potential for him to play in the sort of the second quarter of the season, and just hasn't been debuting at all until now. So at least for those owners out there, he has punched out some serviceable scores in the form of 64 and 65, which I'm sure owners probably would have had to have relied upon with Cogs being out on the weekend. So it would have been handy for those owners there.
Yeah.
But just in terms of job security, it's probably hard to get a real read on his overall long-term job security, given he's made his debut late in the piece. But provided he keeps performing, he'll keep playing. That's all you can say, really. There's 3 weeks to go. So even though the Suns, I think they're now out of calculations for the finals, all but done now.
I think all but done. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they'll keep playing him. He's a high draftee, huge reps on him. He's had some injury worries. He had knee issues when he was drafted and other injury issues over the preseason. So they'll be needing to sort of get as many minutes into his legs as they can in sort of the last 3 weeks of the season, which are dead rubbers.
Yep. Do anything worse than Elijah Hollands debuting at this stage and ruining his rookie price for next year is if Horse brings in Gould now. Like, that'll be the only thing that makes me rage harder.
Who's that? Is he like the Bigfoot? He's the Loch Ness monster
I
of
swear he doesn't
SuperCoach,
exist.
isn't he?
I swear he doesn't exist.
Every photo I see of him as well are from behind. So it's like, I don't even know what he looks like, his face. Kind of reminds me of that old, what is it, the Colgate or whatever? And it's like a dentist at the sink, and it's like...
This man is a dentist, so we can't show you his face on television. Morning, Rob.
That's him. That's Gould. He's a dentist.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Another player on the bubble is Jackson Archer, defender, 117.3K, averaging 51.5 with a break even of -34. He is obviously the son of North Melbourne great Glenn. And he got the call up for his second game last week. But considering he hadn't played since his debut in round 15, there's no guarantees of any job security. So I probably would not be considering him. I don't know. If you have trades, he's just no, I don't know. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, exactly. We're not even we don't even have any trades. So now we're like, just got no trades, no idea, no interest.
No. Well, if you're going to bring in if you're going to have to bring in one of these two, bring in Hollands.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like there's others like Worrell played quite well for the Crows. Could be another option. Anyway, there's a few that you could consider.
Yep. What about now, Liam? What have we got? What have we got coming out next? Is there a pirate? Can I hear a pirate?
Arr. I'm the captain now.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Are you supposed to be Blackbeard or
I don't know.
Captain Feathersword?
SpongeBob pirate.
More SpongeBob. This is so exciting.
I don't know. What
it sounded like a captain that was just like, oh, if I have to be the captain now, like, I'm content with being one of the crewmen. But if you have to make me the captain, I'll be the captain now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, and I'm the captain. And I'm the captain now. We take a look at the best options for your VC and C this weekend after we've scrounged through all of the data and recent averages. And first up on Friday night against Collingwood, we have Clary Oliver, the pink sweaty pig himself. And he averaged 125 on the dot over his last four against the Pies with scores of 141, 108, 137, and 114. Yes. And that 141 came from earlier in the season as well.
It did.
On Queen's birthday.
It did indeed. Well, it's with Clary though, must be said, like prior to the past 2 weeks, he's only dropped below 100 twice with a 99 and 68. And then in his 2 games returning from injury over the past couple of weeks, a 96 and 85. So not a good reflection on current form, but I don't know if it's because he's sort of had that brace on his hand. And I did see pictures at training today, I think it was, where he just had it strapped up, no brace, no nothing. So hopefully that frees him up. And it just makes you think that maybe he's altered his game somewhat, or he's not playing to his full strength on return. But it just means that, VC. I think it probably means, like I was saying, I think it was last week, that a lot of people are sort of the mindset, once bitten, twice shy type thing, where if they have a player scoring shit, they're less likely to put the C on him the next week. And to some extent as well, the VC, because they see like, I'm not going to waste a VC on someone that's scored below 100 over the previous 2 weeks. So he's playing in the first game and could be a nice little pod to some extent, because, he's VC, so less risk there. But keeping in mind the pink sweaty pig, but another nice option. And he's probably in one of the top 2 options, I think, for every single week from here on out, because Tookie Miller, the running man, has a really, really nice end to the season. And first up on the weekend, he faces Hawthorn on Saturday at 1:45 p.m. And he's averaged 109 his last 4 against the Hawks, with scores of 109, 153, 98 and 88. And he's probably up there in terms of consistent scoring with Rory Laird, because he's only scored below 100 3 times this season. And in his past 2, he scored 157 and 153. Both of those, one was up against West Coast at Metricon on the weekend. Prior to that was Brisbane at the Gabba. So he's scoring against lesser likes and solid opposition as well. So really love Tookie Miller. If you don't want to go for Ollie as the VC, go for Tookie, the running man, Miller,
definitely,
because he's in great form.
Yes, no, I do quite like that. Moving on, next option in the next game on Saturday at 2:10 against the Giants is Zach Merritt. He's got an average of 97 in his last 4 against the Giants, with scores of 131, 71, 119 and 67. And he comes into the game with a 3-round average of 136.3 and a 5-round average of 139.2. But the concern I have is, does he face a tag? The Giants obviously have, I think De Boer's been playing. I haven't checked, but he also have Ash, who's been doing midfield tagging role. So bit of concern there for him, considering I don't think Shield will get up. I think he's had a hamstring tightness. So I don't know if he's going to be back. I think Parrish is available potentially for this round, so could come back. I don't know if he will. But yeah, I guess it's sort of Merritt becomes the one that you would tag. And obviously he's in great form, so would be the one that GWS would think about first.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Like, he's the only one. He's like the prime target to tag. Because, previous to that, when Parrish is playing, they would tag Parrish because they see him as more susceptible. But you've got to put some time into Merritt. Like on the weekend, as you would have seen yourself, Liam, as being a supporter, he was just paid no respect at all, especially in the last half, where he just got a bulk of his AFL fantasy points, which I think you mentioned was about 130 odd, I think it was.
130 something in the second half. Yeah.
Absolutely insane. And, equivalent sort of score as well when it comes to SuperCoach. And it just goes to show how damaging he can be with the footy. So surely the Giants pay some sort of attention to him. But nonetheless, I think he could probably do worse than Zachy Merritt, especially if you've got a VC that you want to whack on him. Just to sort of, if you're worried about a tag, I'd put the VC on him. Otherwise, the C, he's still a candidate. Given his current form, he's just absolutely scintillating. Moving on to Andy Brayshaw, and he plays the Doggies on Saturday at 4:35 p.m. and he's averaged 86 in his last 4 games against the Dogs, with scores of 120, 77, 52 and 95. But he comes in off the back of a score of 138, and it was much needed, like I said earlier, for my team in week 1 of finals. And prior to that, he had a bit of a downer with 96 and 79, but prior to that again, his previous 2 weeks with 134 and 132. And Freo just need to keep winning, or at least get back on the winners list, because if they want to make the top 4, they need to be firing on all cylinders. And he's one of the main men in the engine room for the Dockers. So look at him closely also.
Yep, definitely. And in the same game, we've got Marcus Bontempelli, who has an average of 120.75 in his last 4 games against the Dockers, with scores of 149, 107, 95 and 132. And he had a bit of a downer on the weekend, not quite to the same level that he had been scoring, but his another one in some good form.
I think he copped a bit of a corky,
Yeah, he got
I
a
think.
corky, yeah.
Or something. And there was some doubt over him. I don't know if the Dogs have come out and cleared it up, but I haven't seen anything. So probably wait to see team lists, and probably more so, he could be even a late out if he is struggling with that corky. As we've seen this season, corkies have been the bane of a lot of super coaches out there's existence, really, like Dangerfield. We had Hewitt. Who else was there? There was someone else that was copped a corky.
Yeah,
that was
Parish.
Parish, yeah, of course.
Yeah, there was someone else.
Yeah, there's been a few across the journey that have missed at least a week, if not two. So if he is struggling, you just want to keep that in mind. Moving on to another guy who, again, as we said earlier, was a prime trade-in candidate, and it is Tom Stewart, who faces St Kilda on Saturday at 7:25 p.m. And he's averaged 100.25 in his last 4 games against the Saints with scores of 113, 98, 100 and 90. And he has a 3-round average of 122.7, which includes a score of a massive 161. So he had a sort of a modest return by his standards on the weekend. But yeah, different sort of kettle of fish, I think, as well, when he's playing at GMHBA like he is against them on the weekend. So, I'd probably back him in. He probably likes the shape of the ground at GMHBA. If it was at Marvel, you'd probably say he's maybe less of a candidate as a bit of a VCC option, but we all know his scoring ceiling. So keep that in mind when considering him.
Moving on in the same game, but on the other side of the field, we got Jack Steele, who has averaged 94 in his last 4 games against the Cats with 74, 116, 186. Nothing really to write home about there, but looking at his recent scores, before scoring 107 on the weekend, his last 2 games were 143 and 133. And since round 15, he has not gone below 100. So hasn't gone below 107. I think that was his lowest score. So he's in decent form, good sort of floor, and a potentially good ceiling. It's getting a little bit late in the round, sort of for a VC, but if you've got the opportunity, there are some other good options later on that you could consider. But yeah, it's probably just a bit tough as a VC, which is what I'd want to use him as, just because he hasn't really had that really high ceiling that you'd want.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on to Callum Mills, and he faces Juicy Prospect in North Melbourne on Sunday at 1:10 p.m. And he's averaged 86.25 in his last 4 games against the Blues against North, with scores of 130, 74, 67 and 74. So, I mean, you probably just consider him off the back of just his opposition in North Melbourne.
That 130 came from earlier in the year. And just based off the fact that it's North. Again, North give away the 4th most points to inside mids.
Oh, there you go. Yep. That's probably reason enough to jump on him. Like it.
Yep, definitely. Now, in the next game on Sunday at 3:20, it's Damon's favourite, Sammy Walsh, up against Brisbane. And he has an average of 130 in his last 3 games against the Lions, with scores of 130, 119 and 141. I reckon he's not a bad choice.
Yeah, he's not a bad choice. He's actually he's been really consistent. He's actually been one of the more consistent players out there in terms of having a high-ish floor, because he's only scored, believe it or not, below 100 4 times this season. So he's been up there with the likes of a Tookie Miller and Rory Laird in terms of his consistency. But yeah, his ceiling has probably deflated or come down a little bit in recent times. He's probably scoring around about at that 110, 115 mark, which isn't quite what we're looking for when it comes to captaincy scores. Scored a nice 126 against the Cats, but yeah, he hasn't really scored since well enough since around 9-10-11 when it was 149, 133 and 123 when he went on that absolute tear. So I'd consider him still, considering that favourable history against the Lions. But yeah, it's probably, like you were saying earlier with Steele, it's probably getting on a little bit late in the round to consider a captaincy score, but probably comes down to as well in your head-to-head league matches who your opponent has. And if you need to sort of have a bit of a Hail Mary. He might be a nice one to throw it on with that nice little data set to back it up. And moving on to Lachie Neale, who is, of course, on the other side of the field against the Baggers, and he averages 125.75 in his last 4 against the Blues with scores of 96, 142, 106 and 159. And, you know, he only scored the 110 on the weekend. Prior to that, 121, 123 in his recent scores to date. He's kind of fallen away a little bit. Again, he's very much like a Sammy Walsh in a sense that his ceiling isn't the best. He's quite shaky. He's still around the mark there. Like if you get a 120, 125, it is captaincy worthy. But again, later in the round makes it a lot harder, and you're obviously having to gamble a C on him as opposed to a VC, unless you put the VC on him and you put the C on this next guy, Liam. Who have we got to round it out?
It's the most reliable player I reckon we've got this year. And it is Rory Laird. Up against West Coast, nonetheless, on Sunday at 4:40. Oh, it's the last game of the round, Damon. Can we do it? Can you do it? Is it allowed?
Yeah, is it a sin?
I don't know. I never really considered it until you said it, but then I was like, I think it's like an unconscious thing that I do.
Yeah.
Like I don't do it, but yeah.
You need to get it out of the way. Yep.
Last game. So you got to consider that, factor this in. Rory Laird averages 109 in his last 4 games against the Eagles with scores of 136, 120, 104, 76, but has a 3-round average of 146 and a 5-round average of 138.6 and hasn't dropped below 125 since round 15. So that's 5 rounds of captaincy-worthy scores.
Yep, lock him in. And I think I've pretty much had him captain for 4 of those 5 games, I reckon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's been super reliable. But, yeah, I mean, I mentioned there as a bit of a segue saying that you could put the VC on Neale and the C on Laird. It probably wouldn't work unless you're sort of screening half of Neale's game and then making a judgment call from then. But too dicey to do because Laird's game starts an hour and 20 after Brisbane and Carlton. So, yeah, like you say, last game of the round could be a sin, an unspoken sin. But if you do so, just go to the confessional, say 3 Hail Marys, and you're cleansed. But yeah, I think it's worthy though in this case. Laird, like you say, he's as reliable as they come for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Now on to some honourable mentions that you might consider for a bit of a high risk, high reward VC option this week, and they both come on Friday night against the Pies. The first one is Petrarca, who has 103 average against the Pies in his last 4 games with scores of 99, 96, 125 and 92. And his form has been a little bit up and down, I want to say, in recent weeks. So just having a quick look at his recent scores very quickly. So he has scored it's actually every second week. So round 16, he scored 189 against Adelaide. Then round 17, he scored 91. Then in round 18, he scored 141. Then in round 19, he scored 81. And then in round 20, he scored 134. So we're looking at about a 71, I reckon, this week.
Yep.
So maybe don't do it. But just I think with potentially with Clary down a little bit as well. If he is down, Petrarca could fill up that hole a little bit. But yeah, based off his recent form of every second game being big score, a little bit of risk, but is a VC, so not a bad option. And the other one is Maxi Gawn, who has a 111.25 average in his last 4 against the Pies with a 70, a 123, a 153 and a 99. And just keep in mind that 70 was in the game that he was injured. I think he played out the game, but just obviously played injured as such. So another decent score will come up against Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox, you'd expect. So just another option, I guess, to consider.
Very nice. Well, on to our selections, and I'll quickly roll through mine. So I'm kind of torn at the moment. Clary Oliver obviously appeals against the Pies. Taking into consideration Taylor Adams is going to be an omission from their side because he's out for the season through injury, and coupled with the fact that the Pies concede the most points to inside midfielders, makes him a real attractive option there. And again, like I was saying, a bit of a pot option, I think. to some extent. Some people may see his past 2 scores and think, oh, it's a little bit too risky. Might opt for a Tookie Miller or someone else. So that appeals again, but probably comes down to who my opponent is going to put as the VC. If they put the VC on Oliver, I'm almost tempted to go opposite to what they're doing. But I do like him first up as the VC. Otherwise, Tookie Miller is my other option with the VC, and then the C. I think I'm going to do it, Liam. I think I'm doing it.
Oh.
I'm going to put it on Rory Laird, last game of the round. Sorry, Walshy. But this may be the 1 week that I do it, where I put it on Laird.
I reckon it's the week to do it.
Yep. So those are my options there. I think he's the only captaincy option that really sticks out. I could still put the VC on Oliver and then the C on Tookie Miller, but I love Rory Laird. He's really treated me really well over the past few weeks. So,
well, looking at those 3 options, Collingwood give away the most points to inside mids. Took Miller, who faces Hawthorn, gives away the second most points to inside mids. And Rory Laird, who faces West Coast, gives away the third most points to inside mids. So
we're flushed with options.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
it's hard.
It's very hard. I think I'm probably going to go Tookie Miller based off that as my VC. I think you talked me into it. I like the potential pod factor of Oliver as the VC, but I think Miller with his floor and his favourable opponent in Hawthorn is just too juicy. Just because Oliver is coming back from injury, so he may be impeded. But it probably will be a bit of a flip of the coin, and then Rory Laird as the C if Oliver or Miller don't work out, whichever one I choose.
I like it. I was just having a look at Hawthorn's list quickly. Did they have someone that was playing a run with role on the weekend?
Yes.
McGuinness, was
McGuinness. Yeah, McGuinness is playing that run with role.
Yeah, he was tagging Sinclair on the weekend, and then he reverted back to playing as a normal forward in the third quarter. But, that's the only thing. Like we've said from the get-go that Tookie, the running man, Miller, he's the running man because no one can keep up with him. His endurance is off the charts, and his ability to, break tags and whatnot. Like he does work around the ground, not just at stoppages and stuff. So at least that provides a bit of surety in his scoring from week to week. So still factor it in, I guess. But yeah, will the Hawks really want to try it tag?
Yeah, the other thing to consider, I guess, is Caldwell went to him against Essendon when Gold Coast played Essendon, and he still scored 110. Most of those points came in the last quarter when they kind of dropped the tag. I think he had most of his possessions in the last quarter. So that does actually factor in a little bit there. But I still don't think he's a bad option because he would be your VC. I think it's a decent risk to take. It's worth the risk.
Yep. I like it. So you're locking in Tookie Miller for the VC for the C if he doesn't work out?
Rory Laird. Can't
you're
go
doing
against it.
Yes.
Can't go against it. He's been too reliable.
Yeah. Well, Rory Laird, going by previous weeks, so we'll go by the past 3 weeks. So for Laird, 154, 140 and 144. For Tookie Miller, 110, 157 and 153. Ooh, so going by that, you'd be happy with either or. Obviously, that 110 was against the Dons, where he was a little bit of attention. But it's one of those things, isn't it, where flush with options, and very much like the weekend where I was kind of tossing up between Laird or Miller, and Miller ended up scoring 9 points more unbelievably compared to Laird. It's much of a muchness. That's the thing. Yeah. So you'd be happy with anything. Like if you're scoring 144 or 153 like the weekend, you can't snub your nose at that. That's for sure.
No, certainly. Now let's move on and quickly take a look at the SuperCoach Edge group rankings before we finish up this episode. The highest scorer for round 20 was Joel with his team, Marby or Joel.
Love it. Love a good pun. That is up there with one of the best. One of the best all season.
Yes, I love that name. Score of 2,613 with a round rank of 42. Really, really good score there. An overall rank of 10,429th overall. And onto the overall highest scorer for 3 weeks in a row. Tyler, with his team Shep Screamers, has maintained the top spot. His total score is 46,882 with an overall rank of 12th. And he has now extended his lead over John's team. Markle sparkled by a margin of 127. Now, if you do want to enter the SuperCoach Edge group, which, as we always say, you can join anytime, we should probably just stop mentioning this. I don't know why we mention this every week. That's probably the way that we that we turn off people being able to get in there. But anyway, if you do want to join, the code is 142059.
Very nice. Well, a quick run through of the winners in our SuperCoach Edge Crown League for Tier 3 Patreons, of course. And for those who progressed past week 1 of finals, it was 2nd v 3rd in the qualifying final. It is the qualifying final, is it? I always get confused between semi and qualifying, and it was Sharpshooters who finished in 2nd spot, who scored 2,401, defeated by my mob in DJ Trade a Lot with 2,438. So a 37-point victory to my side. And the other match was 4th v 5th in the elimination final between Black on White, who scored 2,496, who defeated Matt with Orion, otherwise known as Emp. He scored 2,367. So Black on White had an absolute blinder of a score. So I think he was the highest scoring of the lot for those of us in our league. And looking forward to the week 2 of finals, my mob in DJ Trade a Lot faces off against the minor premier in Bruce with his team Shuin. And the winner of this matchup will progress through to the prelim, whilst the loser will look to atone with their second chance against the winner of the following semi-final, which involves Black on White, who comes up against the Sharpshooters. So it's a bit of a funny, I've never played in a 10-man league before. And the way it works is like, if you win your first, your second chance carries across. And then if you lose the second, that second chance is obviously then used to play in the prelim. So it's interesting. So either way, whether it's myself or Bruce of Shuin, we will make the prelim and face off against whoever wins that semi-final matchup. So check that out. But Liam, I'll leave this to you because it is the second set of finals for those who finished from 7th to 10th. And I'm not sure, I'll be calling this Consolation Cup or the Participation Plate.
I don't know.
You can choose. You can choose. Up to you.
Oh. Well, let me go through the results. Let me think about it.
Yep.
So in this, I got the week off, which was not earned. But it was nice. It was nice. It was a good week to come off, considering I just gave up on actually playing SuperCoach. So this week is where it all matters. And 7th versus 8th, Mid-Price Madness came up against Northwind. That was Jacqueline's team, 2,451 versus 2,034. So big win there. And 9th versus 10th, Lyle Styles defeated by Tankman 77 Peter there by just 2 points. Nail biter there, very opposite to the other side. And looking forward, we have Tankman. Yep.
Playing Northwind.
Yep.
And then you, Liam.
Yep.
Play Jacqueline.
Yes. And that's going to be hopefully so essentially whoever wins out of my team and Jacqueline's team will proceed straight to the grand final. And whoever loses heads to the prelims for a second chance there. Exciting. And I think I'm going to go Consolation Cup because I kind of want to see a mug as like the prize. That's what I'm imagining, as opposed to but I do kind of like the idea of like a plastic plate or something.
Yeah.
Or a paper plate, something like that, with like macaroni stuck around the outside.
Oh yes, I think flashbacks to like primary school now. Whereas like the dried out macaroni, and then you like paint it gold and stuff, and then you use it as an ornament on Christmas trees and on your family Christmas tree, and then it's there every single year. And you're like, Mum, why are you rolling this out again? And loves it. But I'm predicting. Oh, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and I reckon that the championship ring that they're going to win is just a cheesel. Anyway, moving on. What were you going to say?
But I'm gonna predict, Liam, because I can see it happening now. And the universe, we know it works in fabulous, marvelous ways. I can see it now, just having a look at the fixture. And on either side of the draw is both yourself and our future father-in-law in Peter.
Yeah.
So I can see what's going to happen here. You're going to progress through to the grand final. Peter's going to make easy work of Northwind. And then he's going to face off against Jacqueline's team, Mid-Price Madness, and he's going to face you in the grand final for the most epic of grand finals. Even though it's a consolation cup, doesn't matter. This is taken to another level, and this will go down in the history of SuperCoach Edge, but also within our own family circle.
And you know what makes it even bigger?
Yeah.
It happens on the weekend of your wedding.
Oh, it does too. Oh my God.
It's a big week.
Whoa, it is a big week. In fact, given that, I'm expecting him to actually work that into his wedding speech as well.
Yeah. I'm waiting
Just
for
make
that.
mention of it. Yeah. He'll make mention of the fact that I knocked him out in the last week of head-to-heads, and he'll make mention of the fact that he's facing you. And people will be like, what? But worthy of a mention, Pete.
SuperCoach?
So, yeah. Because SuperCoach may be making a mention in my vows. So such is the weight on my life. Because it is the mistress after all. I need to make mention of the mistress.
Very true. Oh yeah, great idea. Mention the mistress on the wedding day.
Maybe I should say 3 Hail Marys. Go to the confessional.
Yes. Anyway, that's a good point. I'm actually, and you know what? If I face him in the grand final, he's beaten me every time I played him twice this year.
That's true.
So
He's got the wood on you.
It's going to be interesting.
Yes, so we'll be watching with bated breath as to how that plays out over the coming weeks. But before we wrap up the show, where can viewers and listeners find us on our social channels?
Yes, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest news and information, and you want to watch this pod, if you're listening to it and you want to watch it instead, you can find us on YouTube. Just search SuperCoach Edge, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. On Twitter, you'll find us at @SuperCoach_Edge. You'll find Damon at DamoJ88, myself at Liam Evans _95, and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. Search SuperCoach Edge, and there's some content there that you can enjoy, I hope.
Please enjoy it. Watch and enjoy. And as well, if you're watching us on YouTube, I do notice in the analytics, again, we've got like 90% of viewers aren't subscribers. So if you can do us a solid, please subscribe. We'd love to actually get up to it keeps hovering between like 130, 129. I don't know if it's like bots following us, then unsubscribing, but would love to get it to the 150 mark come the end of the season, and then obviously try and grow it heading into 2023. So if you haven't subscribed yet, get on that for us, and we'll be very much appreciative of that. But to wrap it up, second week of finals is now on the agenda. So we're running out of trades, or I guess if you're in our shoes, Liam, there's a lot of us that have already run out of trades, and we're on empty. The petrol gauge is running on empty. It's teetering above the empty mark. So either way, I think we're slowly putting more faith in the SuperCoach gods, and hopefully the cards fall our way in matchups. So what more can you say, Liam?
Not much. I can't add to that.
Before we sign off as well, should make mention as well, just the last plug with Manscaped. If you want to get 20% off and free shipping, go to manscaped.com and use the code EDGE. And I guess if you're not into manscaping, you could probably use this as a beard trimmer, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Report back to me, Liam.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Don't even know how to respond to that. Yes, pretty good fun. What was that? Sorry, I've lost it.
You could use this as a beard trimmer, the ball beard trimmer, and a beard trimmer on your face.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
I don't know whether that's.
It's not. No. I wouldn't. No. You don't do either or at the same. You don't do both and then the other one. You'd Like if you're not into sort of manscaping, I think
yes, it's an either or situation.
either or, like I wouldn't be using it like, you know, going from the bottom up type thing. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. But moving on.
Well, the weekend, Liam, what does it present for yourself? Like, what are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for to not make basic skill errors. That's goal number one.
Yeah.
And goal number
Set the bar
two
high.
is setting the bar high. Is that I just don't have to rely on Laird because Miller kills it.
Yeah.
That's goal number two that I have zero control over.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll be putting faith in the Supercoach gods because either it's the we need to find a nickname for Laird, and I don't want to be mean, but he looks like he's got a blockhead, like the most square-shaped head of all. I think they're blocking. They were like the villains in Gumby. It's either the blockhead or the running man.
Yeah.
So you're flushed with options there.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. But best of luck to you, Damon. You're actually in some Supercoach finals, which is nice. Some non-consolation cup finals. So good luck.
Yep. Thank you. If I can book a place in prelim, that'd be good. Already in a couple of prelims. So if things don't work out this weekend, it's not the end of the world. So not too bad. But hopefully both of us come away unscathed with no injuries because we are both out of trade. So we are putting full faith in the gods. And I guess we'll report back to you guys how we went this time, same place next week. Best of luck to all of you out there.
Yes, good
and
luck.
We'll catch you then.
See you guys.